Hi, this is Mike Ryan. Um, People often ask me, how did I get involved with LinkedIn? And I always tell the story that I've always been an early adopter, and I had two entrepreneur parents that started a healthcare consulting firm back in the 1950s and another one in the 60s. So I've always been kind of a linkage, a connecting dots type person through people and personalities. I remember when I was a White House intern, I worked for Robert Strauss, who later became the ambassador to Japan. And on his desk, he had two huge Rolodexes that were full of probably hundreds, if not thousands, of addresses of people. And so that always impressed me, sitting at his desk when he was out, and just thumbing through it and see who's who in America, if not the world. So I've always kept collecting individuals, connections, stuff like that. I would say since I was about 6 years or 9 years old. So that was always there. So I was on a board of a company called Red Medic, and we had one of the board members, one of the founders. We were going out and pitching for raising capital in about 2003 and 2003. And we went to Mountain View and went to this nondescript building in Mountain View. And I remember walking in, and there's boxes on the ground, and they were literally putting the sign up behind the receptionist desk, and it, spelled out LinkedIn. And it was not untypical of a going to a startup and seeing that kind of kind of chaos, because it was probably the first time they had an office outside the founder's living room. And I remember walking in there, and at that time I had signed up for being a LinkedIn member, and because I've been always an early adopter, and especially here in Silicon Valley. And I think I was just under 25,000. I was 24,343, I think is the number as far as a member. And now, as many of you know, LinkedIn has over, I think, close to 700 million people from all over the country. So always early on, I remember sending out invites that you have now, send them out to people all over that were in my network, and then also people that were all over the world. And at one point, I really stopped counting. I think I had like 180 folks that were 180 countries of those thousands of people that I had up connected on LinkedIn. So anyway, I go into the office and go into a quote boardroom, and I'm waiting there with the two other board members of this company, Red Medic, and in walks this guy in crutches, and he's hobbling. And it is this side, Reid Hoffman, who is the former EVP for PayPal and was the founder and CEO and chairman of LinkedIn. And Reid hobbles in on his crutches, and he shares that that was like a Monday or Tuesday on that previous weekend. I think he broke his foot, and he had he was just recovering from that. And the mutual friend who was with him said, Reid, meet Mike Ryan. He's the former hospital CEO and the most connected person on LinkedIn. And at the time, there's probably less than 30,000 people on LinkedIn. And I, again, an early adopter, and begin to hear kind of like anything else, small talk of, how he broke his foot and, how he had challenges in the ER and all those things. And I said, Reid, I'm a fully recovered hospital CEO by 5 years. And, I can appreciate all the challenges you went through, but here's why I think LinkedIn is extraordinary, at least from my point of view at the time. And this is in 2004, early 2004. And at that meeting, here's a guy who obviously been very successful with PayPal, and he was now growing LinkedIn, based on a book by a professor, I think at Notre Dame, a book called Linked. So get a chance to see that. But over the years, I've been a great enthusiast and advocate of LinkedIn, reaching out to people all over the world that I've known historically in ILR, in real life, and people who I've come to know and have enjoyed meeting and working with entrepreneurs throughout the Bay Area or India or Australia. I actually got outreach. I was on a board from Melbourne, on boards from India, and all that I think was a lot possible because of Reid and what he did at LinkedIn. And now I have over 30,000 direct connections, over, I think close to that as far as number of followers on LinkedIn, and I'm a great advocate. Back then, LinkedIn really wasn't more than taking a white piece of paper, and it was basically a listing who you are, not unlike a CV service, right, where you just had paper and a typewritten, resume or a CV. There weren't any ads. There weren't any type of pop-ups or groups or anything like that. So they developed that over the time. At some point, I ended up getting a LinkedIn shirt. I got it somewhere here as a treasure memory of the early days. But LinkedIn has since gone on and sold to Microsoft. You can see Jeff Weiner on who became the CEO. Reid brought him in, and then Satya Nadella, who's really the brilliant mind behind Microsoft in its current rebirth. So that's my LinkedIn story, and we'll hope to share some more in the future. Bye. Have a good one.